Yeah. So the sound on this, I don't know. Here, we're going to try. Okay.
So this is about how much I talk.
Perfect.
Great.
And if you can just treat them, see, you're a profesh. You know what you're doing. But if you
I
can just
love a
treat
microphone.
Okay, great. That's perfect because I'm not hearing any feedback. Okay. Oh, I'm going to move this closer because I can't hear. I'm doing great. This is really professional, Eric. This is your most professional interview you've ever had in your life.
I'm into it.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, now we're going to do the intro. Oh, hi. You're listening to Service from Hell, a podcast featuring people that are currently in customer service positions or the lucky ones that got out, and all the good, bad, and infinitely irritating things that go along with that work. I'm actor and writer Kate Gaffney, and I'm uniquely qualified to discuss this as I am currently working at a very busy and very popular nightclub in Los Angeles. And at least one of you listening right now has probably grabbed me and told me that you were ready to order when I was running around like a crazy person. So let's eat. I'd like to welcome our guest, Eric Krop, to quote what the internets have to say about this gorgeous man sitting in front of me. Eric Michael Krop is a singer-songwriter based in Los Angeles, California. After graduating from AMDA and NYC, Eric made his Broadway debut in the revival of Godspell at Circle in the Square. After moving to Los Angeles, he quickly broke into the music scene doing backup vocals for James Corden in the movie Peter Rabbit. That's so cool. And working with Grammy-winning pop producer Greg Kurstin. Eric writes with renowned songwriters Derek Greger and Zelda Sahin, and has a popular jazz duo with Grammy-nominated musician Erica Von Kleist. He has performed literally all over the world, and you can get his original music on iTunes and Spotify. Now, I better know Eric from hearing him sing at a club on the Sunset Strip in West Hollywood, and after I heard him, I told him he couldn't sing and ran up to him and told him I had to have him on my podcast. Hi, Eric. Hey, thank you for being here.
I'm so excited.
So I talked to Eric, and I was like, hey, have you ever worked in customer service, and what's the deal? And the first thing he said to me was...
Yes, and I was fired for not smiling enough in between tables.
And I was like, stop talking. I have to have you on my podcast. So, Eric, take it away. Please tell me about you. And
Hi. Okay. So I'm 33. I do not work in customer service anymore, unless you consider singing at weddings customer service.
Oh, I kind of do, and I have to hear about it.
I have a really good story about that.
Yeah.
And I record at home, and I haven't had to wait tables since 2000. Let's see, Hurricane Sandy.
Holy
2011?
Holy
2012 maybe?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been 7 years.
Yay.
Oh wait, I did bus tables in Montana. That was more for fun though.
For fun?
Yeah, it came with free sake. It was only 4-hour shifts.
And did you just do it to like kill time?
So my friend owned the sushi restaurant.
Amazing.
I escaped New York City and I moved to Montana for almost 2 years.
Okay.
And my friend owned a sushi restaurant, and I was like, I'll come in and bus tables and be like unknown and just like not care about anything. And
I love it so much.
Really fun.
Okay, so are you from Montana then, or where are you from?
I'm from San Jose, California, and I moved to New York City when I was 19, and I lived there till I was 29. And then to cleanse myself of the negativity of a city that does not suit your needs anymore, I moved to Montana. And then I lived there for almost 2 years. And I went there because I got a theater gig out there in 2010. And I just kept going back and fell in love with all the people. And the beer is really cheap. And it's $4 for a whiskey shot. And at that time, it was legal marijuana. And I had friends with a hookup. So it was a really fun time.
All good things. So you did 10 years in New York.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
Oh, boy. I was in school for 1.5 years. It was a 2-year program. I finished early. And then I left and I did cruise ships for a couple of years, which was crazy.
Oh, please tell me why.
I got fired from those. It's basically prison. That's like the worst. It's not like prison at all.
Wait, but why do you say that?
I was in a windowless room with a roommate in a bunk bed.
Oh, that's giving me anxiety. I couldn't do it.
Couldn't leave the room without a particular uniform on, without shaving. Couldn't mingle with guests, really. We were watched like hawks, and there was like there's a crazy like at sea like hierarchy. So basically whatever the captain says goes.
What?
Like no matter what.
So like if the captain's mad at you,
maritime law is
Get
like
the fuck-
basically like whatever they want to say or do. Like,
are you? So what would it, like if the captain was mad at you in particular? Would there be retribution?
So yeah. You're not allowed to be above 0.08 at any given time, which is one beer.
A beer
for an hour.
Single beer.
One beer or one shot. And
you're on a cruise. cruise.
Yeah, you're on a cruise and the crew bar serves you alcohol and the drinks are $1. And I was 21.
Come on.
Yeah. They pump you full of liquor.
And then punish you for it.
And then put you in a windowless room and then wonder why you're acting crazy.
Because you were probably going crazy.
I was going insane.
So wait, would you be able to go onto land and stuff? Like, would you be able to? You would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was fun. But I also I shot where I ate. I dated the other production singer
Can't
both
do it.
times. And we were just, our frontal lobes were not even fully developed. Just not mature at all. But getting fired from that was the greatest thing ever. I got breathalyzed.
And that's how you got fired?
Yeah. I was 0.16.
Which is 2 beers, right? No.
I
it's more
mean,
than 2
I
beers?
was pretty drunk.
Okay, I don't know what the... Way to tell on yourself.
But I had 3 days to pack because we were in between Fiji and Sydney, Australia. And I was like, well, I'm probably going to get fired. I should pack because you have a captain's hearing. And this goes back to the captain has final say over everything. You have a captain's hearing at 6 a.m. the morning that you're in port.
Oh my God.
And they tell you then if you're fired or if you get to stay. And I was like, I may as well pack because if it's easier to unpack than it is to have a half an hour to pack my shit.
Oh my God.
So I packed and he basically said, we're going to let you go. And he said, do you have anything to say? And I said, well, I already packed, so that's good. And
did you really say that?
Yes.
So that's good.
And I said, I asked to stay because there's only 3 weeks left of my 6.5-month contract.
Do you not get paid out or something if you don't ride out the whole contract?
Thing is, you don't get a bonus.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of people end up quitting or get fired.
Because they go crazy.
Because they go insane. But I did get the rest of my pay for the week, and I got my flights were taken care of.
So you were like, this is double bonus, and I'm happy to get out of here.
It was double bonus. I needed to get off that boat anyways. It's what got me back to New York, and it got me my manager, and I was available for the show, and I got my first audition, and then I was a professional actor, and it just steamrolled from there.
So San Jose to New York. You go to New York for school. You're there for a year and a half. You get booked on the cruises. You do the cruises for a year.
2 years.
2 years.
With 6 months off in between. Where I had my first host job.
Hosting
a restaurant. So my first restaurant job was in between, and I had to wear a suit every day, and I was really broke, and I'm like, why am I spending all this money on this suit? And I was the host I keep wanting to say hostess. I was the hostess
Say it.
at the MoMA at this really fancy 5-star restaurant.
There's a 5-star restaurant in the middle of a museum
called the Modern.
Oh, that's clever.
So the Modern, it's beautiful, and the drinks were rose petals and gold, and I can't. And everything.
You had to memorize every ingredient.
The plates were really tiny and $7 million. And I would do reservations, and Sarah Jessica Parker would come in, and Tom Hanks and Martha Stewart was there. And I sat the prince of some country once, and he handed me $100 for the maitre d', and I was like, yeah, I'll take it.
You're like, yeah, that's my money.
But
now.
since I have permanent guilt, I spend it on all my friends. So.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
We're going out for drinks.
Okay, so
money's fake. It's not even real.
Oh God, if that were true. So you're hosting there. You're working from there. What made you eventually be like, New York? I'm out. I'm coming to LA.
Was partly a boy. I got an offer. They put us on this. We were already kind of dating, and they put us on the same boat. And then he broke up with me 2 days after we got to rehearsals.
Oh, so you were like, I'm not going to finish out the contract? Or did you?
No, we ended up just doing it. It's oh well.
Super painful. And then you were like, screw New York. I'm out. I'm coming to LA.
No, then I went back to New York, and I was like, I need to get on Broadway. And I ended up getting a job as a cocktail waiter. After I got fired. I was a cocktail waiter at this dive bar called Pieces in the Village. This dive gay bar, and that was all under the table. I don't care if they get in trouble. You should.
So you were paid you weren't even paid hourly. It was all just cash.
It was cash tips only.
Ooh,
I don't think I was paid hourly at all. No.
So you weren't even. They didn't even acknowledge that they had employees. It was just here's some cash.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, it was cash only bar.
Oh, they were doing all kinds of things. Did you ever see stuff in the back where you were like, they're doing more than serving beer?
No. Oh, the back room?
No, were you this? We're going to move past that. Okay, great. So you worked at Pieces. And then where?
I worked at Pieces, and it was pretty much average. I get $1 tip a drink. So I hustled. I made pretty good money. I had a nickname there called Juicy Booty because men are horrible and disgusting. And
he said it, y'all. He said it.
I said it. Yeah, that was a really interesting job. I got fired from that job. I worked there for 9 months, and
How do they fire you from a job that you don't exist in? Like you're a ghost.
well, they say, don't come back.
Oh, it's that easy. And you're like, okay, can I file for unemployment? They're like, you never existed.
Sure can't. I worked. It was Pride weekend, and if you know where Pieces is, it's on the Pride route in New York City.
So it's gangbusters on Pride weekend.
It is a mess. There's like a cover. There's people they're like girls pee in the urinals. It's like insane.
Okay. Amazing.
So I closed the Saturday before Pride. Pride's on a Sunday, and then they wanted me back in at 11 a.m. And in New York
That's
City,
a clopen. That sucks.
bars close at 4 a.m.
No, so that sucks so hard.
You get home at
Sucks.
5:30.
You're not in
Sun's
bed till
coming
7.
up. You're not in bed till 7 trying to wind down.
Yeah.
And then I got there like 11:30, worked 14 hours,
No.
and then they let me go because they said I had a bad attitude.
After you did a clopen on Pride weekend? No thanks.
I made like $1,700 in 3 days,
Holy shit.
which was great.
But that's not going to sustain you forever. You're going to pay rent one time and then you're like, fuck, what do I do?
I mean, I had some sweet deal rent in New York. One of my places I lived at was $437. Another one was $600 was like the most I paid.
Were you sharing like the teensiest little
Huge
space?
apartments, like far
How?
up in like Inwood.
Oh, everyone
Because
in New York right now hates you.
5-bedroom apartments. You know, you have a ton of roommates.
Oh, sure. Okay. But still,
Yeah.
that's insane. I mean, that makes you be able to live the life of an artist out there.
Exactly.
Which is what you, okay.
Exactly.
So you're working, so that was Pride weekend. So how many years into the New York experience are you at that
That
point?
was probably 4 years in. I was like 23.
Okay. So you stay there till you're 29. So for those next 6 years, are you like,
Then I started working at Ellen's Stardust Diner in Times Square
oh, okay.
as a singing waiter.
I have to know everything. I'm dying. I swear to God, I did not know this when I asked him. Oh,
Okay.
you're the best.
So Ellen's Stardust Diner is like this famous diner in New York City where your waiters can be like as terrible as they are, but it's okay because they sing to you.
Oh my God, I would live
There's
for
some
this
really
experience.
bad waiters. And like it's a $20 cheeseburger and like a $10 milkshake.
So it's like American food.
It's like
that's-
50s themed, just like meatloaf. Not the singer, but
Okay. Which would actually be amazing.
it would be. He's pretty crazy. So I'd work there. They have breakfast shifts, and I would open the restaurant at 6 a.m.
No,
and
to
be
this,
singing
no.
"Don't
Your
Stop
vocals-
Believing" at 7 in the morning.
Would you be belting? Like, would you be like really singing?
So there was a guitar version of it, and I would do the whole thing like "Just a small town girl," like
Oh,
the
I could
6
see
a.m.
it.
version.
Yeah.
Living in a lonely world.
Were there tourists there at that time?
Yes, school
Living
groups.
for you.
Oh my God! There's in March they would do like the New York City trips, like from the local high schools and middle schools. Bus tours.
No.
Oh man, that place was so dirty.
Wait, and you weren't making any tips if it's all bus tours of like a bunch of
So
school
that
groups.
was New York City. Like you get paid what, like $2 an hour?
Yeah,
and
that's how it was in Ohio.
And then tips on it.
Yeah.
That was probably the most lucrative waiting job I ever had.
Really?
Ellen's Stardust Diner was crazy.
Because you would be
Sometimes it'd be $600 a shift.
Come on.
Because the food's so expensive, and there's
Okay.
an autograt on 20% autograt.
Would people tip on top of that? Because they were just like, oh, this person, they were tipping your voice.
And you get they would pass a tip bucket for singing, and we do
Get
crazy numbers.
How did you ever get out of that job? Did you get fired?
No, I got a show.
Oh,
I left.
the best reason to leave
Yeah.
a job.
I booked a show and made half the money. So
You were like, I'm doing what I love, but I'm not making any money.
not making, can't pay my bills.
Okay.
Ellen's Stardust Diner. I served Katie Kirk once. I've
Oh.
served Katie Kirk twice at 2 different restaurants that I worked at. I did not get fired from Ellen's, but I was in a class action lawsuit.
Oh, really? Wait, really? Are you allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, I think so. I just said like I responded yes to not opting out of it
Okay.
because the managers were like doctoring hours, so people weren't going overtime.
Oh, see, that's shitty. So
None
you
of those
guys
people
weren't.
work there anymore. Also, the old owner of the place. Oh, what was his name? Irving. Rest in peace. It's okay. He died doing what he loved.
Waiting tables or owning restaurants.
He was yelling at a server. When
Get
he
the
died.
fuck out of here.
Yeah, at a different restaurant that he owned.
Eric, you're like sitting on all of these gems of stories that I feel like we're barreling past because I'm trying to stick to this fucking.
Okay.
What?
So Irving was this like very old, like very New York type of restaurateur where, you know, they like to cut like crime boss type owner of a place.
Oh yeah.
Definitely like to cut corners. Did not. I feel like it was Trump before Trump, but Trump's always been Trump. That kind of guy. Like you just know he's an asshole. And I remember him walking in to the morning shift sometimes, and he would just start yelling at anyone he could.
Just anyone
he could yell at. Bussers, waiters. And one time I was singing a song and he didn't know what it was, and he started yelling at me during the song in front of customers.
Sure.
I just ignored him. I was like...
You're like, I'm finishing this goddamn song. You're a professional, Eric. That's why you finished your song. Good job, you.
He was older than a boomer, so whatever, like...
Whatever the equivalent of okay boomer is. Okay, dinosaur?
Okay, dinosaur. So he owned this other restaurant called PJ Clark's.
Okay.
In New York City.
I've heard, yeah, that's a chain, right?
It is a chain.
Okay.
Yes. So he was having dinner with his family and proceeded to berate his waiter in front of the whole restaurant.
No.
And then had a heart attack.
And died. Full stop. Just died.
In front of his family. In front of all the patrons.
Holy God.
And, you know, karma? I don't know.
I know, like, but if you were that server, wouldn't you be like, but that's real-time karma?
Honestly, if he loved yelling at people, he did. He died doing what he loved.
You weren't being sarcastic.
I was not being sarcastic. It seemed like he really enjoyed it.
The thing that, okay, so like for non-restaurant employees out there that are listening, so what Eric is explaining as far as the like New York crime boss cutting corners, like every restaurant I have ever worked for, whether it was in New York, Ohio, St. Louis, LA, like didn't matter which restaurant I worked at, everybody that owns a restaurant loves telling you that they're not making any money, that their overhead is huge because of the food and the labor and the whatever, and that they have to do all of these. Like I once had a manager tell me, you've got to roll all your silverware off the clock because the business is hurting. We were making $2 an hour. And I was like, okay, I guess that's right. And I was 18 and I didn't know.
Oh.
So we would do all this shit off the clock.
And not clock in.
No.
I have very similar experiences.
Yeah. And so for
That's
everyone.
another class action suit.
It should be. Because you're working. And the thing that's so hilarious is like, okay, I understand that food is a perishable good. So like, okay, I understand that that's an expense. But your labor costs, at least in Ohio and New York, we were making, like you said, $2.13 an hour. Yeah. Your labor cost is high maybe because of the kitchen. But unless it's a Michelin star restaurant, you're not paying your chefs that much either.
Right.
And your kitchen staff, like the prep people, they're making minimum wage too. Like they're making more than $2 an hour, whatever.
We would have to tip them out.
Yeah, so would we. In every job, every restaurant.
Who's paying? Where's all the profit going to this place?
Wait, you're hurting for money. I don't understand.
Oh, which penthouse do you have to give up?
True. And did you guys have to tip out on tips or tip out on sales?
We had to tip out on both.
See, the last restaurant I worked at in LA before the club where I work now, we had to tip out on tips. Ugh. And 40% of what I would make would go back to the house of tips. So like if someone was super generous when I was bartending and they'd be like, here, Kate, here's $100. I knew 40 of that 100 was going back to the house. Bye. And it would I quit. I was like, I'm done.
That's so shady.
Agreed. Okay. So getting back to your timeline. So that guy dies. And you book a show, and then what eventually was like when you said it wasn't good for your soul or your heart anymore, what made you leave New York? Was it because the show wrapped, or was it like you were just
the first show I booked, that is how I got to Montana. That was a regional theater production of Hair, and that was only for 10 weeks. So I did that, and then I had to go back to New York and go back to waiting tables.
Oh, for anyone that is not an artist, you don't know the pain of having a job wait for you, which is lovely, and the thing that you think you want, and then you go do this project that is you living your dream, and then you're like, and now I have to go get shit on by customers. After I did this, I got a taste of this thing that I love. Yep. And now I have to and it's not an ego thing at all. It's your heart hurts.
Yes.
You're like, because you got a taste of this thing you've worked your whole life for, and then they're like, and that's over.
Short contract. So I ended up going back to Ellen's, and then one of the managers thought I was like the instigator of the entire lawsuit that they were going through, which was a sexual harassment thing, and they thought it was an old employee with just another white guy who looked like me. Like it wasn't even me. Like, but I did end up getting like $300, I think, from that.
Oh, yippee.
Whatever.
you can go to the bars.
But that was because they were doctoring people's hours. Like that.
They were doing an illegal thing.
Yeah, they were doing an illegal thing. So I ended up working there kind of, and then I found another job. Oh God, where was I? Which place was this? Okay. Ellen Starter Steiner, No, that was good money. Okay. And then busboy. Oh, okay. So then I was auditioning for more shows, doing concerts. I was working at this place called the Ha Comedy Club in Times Square. It was really rough, but it was this, we were doing a thing called Broadway Sessions, which was like a weekly Tuesday night, like musical theater crowd.
Oh,
at the club.
Well, to see that crowd probably tips their ass off and is fun.
That was fun, and
I can see that.
We like had a really good stupid time. It was just like we were outsourced employees. We didn't work for the Hot Comedy Club. We worked.
So were you just that Tuesday night, like just for that? Oh, okay.
So that was like once a week, and then I would host an open mic at the Duplex
for singing or for comedy.
For singing.
Oh, they do open mic singing in New York.
It starts at midnight Fridays. I don't think they do it anymore. It was mostly Sondheim.
Get out of here! That's so cool.
It was really fun. And then I had a waiter job working at Hillstone.
Is that a brewery?
Hillstone is also known as Houston's. It's like a chain.
Kill me.
Yeah.
Where everybody thinks it's a fancy high-end experience.
So let's talk about Houston's. So this is the place where you have to take a timed IQ test.
I'm sorry?
And a personality test as part of your interview. And you have to learn within 3 training days how to hold 3 16-ounce glasses in one hand.
Unbelievable. Okay.
Or you can't work there.
Cool.
And it's very corporate, very like you need to be a certain type of personality to work there. And I'm really good at faking those tests. So I got the job.
Of course, because we all know what's on those tests.
And then...
Do you remember... wait, real quick. Do you remember an example of a question that was on that? They're not like the Rorschach test. They were
like the leading questions about like, if you experience this type of situation, what would you do? And you're like, I would, tell the boss, of course. Immediately.
I would not handle it myself.
Mm-hmm. They want to know that they have a loyal employee.
Sure, of
kind
course.
of a thing.
Bar.
So my natural thing anywhere I go is I want to brighten up a room. So I ended up I would like hum at the waiter station. And I don't know, I just had fun at work and people started noticing that, life is like actually kind of exciting and your job doesn't have to be so depressing. And they started like kind of humming too. And the bosses kind of got wind of this like new presence and they were like threatened by my happiness at this job. Are you
kidding me?
So they had me sign a thing saying that I wasn't smiling enough in between tables and then paid me off.
What?
To leave. It was also the worst paying waiter job I ever had.
So you were like, I can't even justify this. See, everybody thinks if you work at a super fancy place, you're going to end up getting a lot of money. But the problem is it's not
kiss ass.
Kiss ass.
And you have to be there for like 2 or 3 years before you get like a better section.
Or you'll never get a good shift. And also you have to tip out the salad preparer and you have to tip out the cocktail server and the bartender and sometimes the managers and the host. Like technically speaking, you're not supposed to, it's illegal to tip a manager, but it's weird how they work that. Like they work around it or the manager took 2 tables. So the manager was technically serving. So,
or like they'll book out, they'll put their favorite people in sections for whatever relationships they have. Mm-hmm. And if they don't like you for whatever reason, they don't, share the love.
It's so exhausting. Okay, so that was
that was Houston's.
That was Houston's. Okay.
Man. So then Houston's, I got let go for that. I was booking like readings and workshops, and I was starting to get more notice in the theater community. And then I got a job at this other restaurant called Eatery, which is now closed because they had a class action lawsuit.
Good Lord, Eric. Over what?
Adjusting hours. I was definitely a part of that. They would have us do stuff before we were clocked in, say that you can't clock in until you come in and roll your napkins.
It's so illegal.
It is so illegal. And what you should do if that happens, you should go in there and break your fucking foot before you're clocked in and then sue the hell out of them.
And see, this is why it's like people like claim that we're such a litigious country, and we are, because everybody's so greedy. They're doing all this shisty shit.
It's insane.
Oh, it's insane.
Greed is insane.
In the restaurant industry specifically, because there's a lot of like under the table hand passed stuff that happens. Everyone's like, oh, you're just serving like burgers and fries. And it's like, no, there's this whole other layer of nonsense that you have to deal with.
They were adjusting everyone's hours for like 10 years and they settled out of court for $1 million.
How did they get away with it for so long?
Because it's the fear of not being able to have a job.
and that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the thing that people don't recognize with restaurants, especially restaurants in New York, LA, Chicago, like where there's theater heavy or entertainment heavy markets. Everyone's like, especially if they lure you with the juicy carrot of, we'll hold your job whilst you go film this movie or do this play or whatever. Then you're like, well, no restaurant would ever offer that. So I'm going to just look away when
And
all
all
this
the crazy stuff.
Yes. Oh, it makes me, anyway, go ahead. So
It's bonkers.
It is bonkers. So
I hear Ellen's is actually really great to work for now. My friends, since they've gone through like, death and ownership and management shit changes.
a heart attack on the floor.
And lawsuits. Like somebody who I worked with got $30,000
Get the fuck out of here.
because they were there for like 15 years. And there was also sexual harassment stuff,
Oh, come on.
which
But that's like at any restaurant. I'm not justifying it because I think it's
but
terrible.
it is part
But
of like
it's
the
part of the
restaurant
culture. Yeah, and
Oh my God! Have you seen what's the Waiting, the movie with
I've not
Ryan
seen
Reynolds?
it. Yeah. No, I have seen it. Oh, where they're showing each other the
Oh my
dicks
God!
and
You
the.
watch that movie back now, and you're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
we have come a long way."
Yeah, we have, and also, but have we? Because also a lot of that stuff still happens.
There has to be like some fun to
There
some of
does.
it, as long as nobody feels unsafe.
Fair. I think that's right.
Right.
But I still can't get over the fact that you really think you got fired because you were singing too much and having a good time at work.
I think that's why I got fired, because I didn't fit the personality profile.
Oh, because you needed to be this like uppity, I care what these people
Like,
think of me,
yes,
buttoned up.
Exactly. Yes. Wore a tie. The apron had to be like
Oh,
ironed.
die in a fire. I can't. The day I have
You
to
had to know
take
the
it-
vocabulary of all
No.
the things.
No.
Oshi boys. They're not.
What is that?
Those are wet napkins, basically. They're
I'll
just, like,
die.
wet washcloths that you wash your hands with before you eat sushi, because they had sushi at this place
Oh my God. Like it's the most. I understand that
too.
that's
Food
what
was really good.
I bet it was. And that's what people are paying for, right? And the experience, and some people want that kind of
I
restaurant.
pretty much only worked at restaurants that I could either sing at or I liked their food.
Would they feed you at that place?
Yeah. No, that place was staff like schlop.
Oh yeah, that's the buffet style.
Yeah.
Like here, guys, we made you
Same
this.
at the MoMA. The MoMA was like, I was like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, and you're like, what's in this? We don't know. Just eat it. Okay. And you're poor enough that you're
Leftover
like,
steak tartare
like-
mixed with rice and eggs.
and on some level that sounds good. You're like, all right, I guess I'll do it.
Oh, Ellen's Eatery, they closed. Oh, I'm like kind of toxic for.
Yeah, you are. Wait, so what was the other class action lawsuit you were saying? There was a new one. You
Oh, the
worked at it?
Eatery one was they settled for $1 million, and
What was it? That was all sexual harassment.
that was
all
not
this-
sexual harassment. That was adjusting hours.
Oh, that was there.
Mm-hmm.
So wait, you worked at two places
Both
that
places
adjusted
were
it.
adjusting hours,
Get out of here.
and within 3 blocks of each other.
It's so weird. It's as if they were talking and said you could get away with this thing. Okay, so that is how many years into New York is that experience?
That was right. So I quit the Eatery job because I booked a Broadway show, my first Broadway
It's
show.
gotta feel so good. That's just the best thing ever.
When that happened, so that summer I was up for American Idol, The Voice,
Holy shit.
and Godspell on Broadway, and I got The Voice and Godspell.
You've been on The Voice.
I said no.
You did.
So I went through the whole process. They asked me to come to the producer rounds, which is only like 200 people, at least back in season 2.
Yeah.
So pretty much everyone who goes to the producer round does as far as I know, goes to the auditions.
Okay.
The blind auditions.
Okay. Where we see
Yes.
as a television
That's
audience.
the first thing
okay.
that we see with the button pushing and all that stuff.
Okay.
And that was a crazy like 3-month interview process, and
Why did you say no?
it was in my second day of rehearsals for Godspell, and I had a 401k and a year contract at $2,000 a week, and you're like,
It's hard to say no to that.
it's hard to say no.
And that's the thing as an artist is like when you are presented with 2 opportunities, which PS almost never happens. But if you are presented with 2, you're like, this is actually this is Sophie's choice. Like
Literally, that was 8 years ago, and I have never had that many awesome like choices back to back since then.
God, it's
I've had great things happen, but never like you have to choose between this awesome thing
and
or
this other amazing thing.
amazing thing.
So would you do The Voice again? Would you?
Yes.
Would you really? Would they let you?
I'm campaigning to do it actually because I started making a video. Kelly Clarkson is like my favorite, and she's a judge now or a coach. I have a lot of friends who've been on it since then, and I think it's time that they have somebody on The Voice that actually becomes a musical sensation.
Yeah, it is. Isn't it interesting that like that?
Not
that
a one.
hasn't- No, and like American Idol, though, we can think back to like Clay Aiken, Ruben Studdard, Kelly
We can
Clarkson.
name a lot of them.
Yeah, but that's Carrie Underwood. She was
Fantasia
American Idol.
Barrino,
Fantasia Barrino. Yeah,
Jennifer Hudson. Yeah,
oh, Jennifer Hudson was American Idol.
she was 5th place.
Holy shit, I didn't know that. But like, think of it. So at the beginning of that, but now I'm like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's been 17 seasons,
So many.
it's they pump them out, and the show's a really great formula. But it's all about, is it your time?
Yeah, that's fair.
Is it your time? Do you have the right plan? Do you have a message? Do you have good music? Are you
Sure.
working with the right songwriters? There's been some, like, there's this one girl who I don't quite know her name, but she does really cool, like, very artsy pop, and has really cool shows. She's like I want to say grungier Lady Gaga meets Sia, but like very
that's
emo pop.
Cool.
Yeah.
And she's from The Voice, or
She was
from
on The Voice.
Okay.
She's like two-tone hair, like black and white. I'll
Very
have to look her up.
Sia-esque. Okay. But you think it's time for The Voice to get...
Yeah, just somebody. I feel like people are craving like no auto-tune and like human voices and something that is gonna bring people together. And usually that happens when it's like a real human, non-affected voice.
I totally agree with that.
Just
because
raw,
soul to soul.
Yes.
Yeah. So you get those opportunities. You choose Broadway, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. And then how long was the Broadway run?
That was 9 months.
Okay, that's a good deal.
So it was a good chunk, and it fell over 2 taxable years. So
for non-artists out there, that is exactly what you want, because you get to do write-offs.
Yes.
Because were you 1099 then, or were you W-2 for Broadway?
Broadway was W-2.
Oh, okay, but
And,
still.
Actually, like, it was not great money.
Really? Well, you're doing, what, 8 shows a week?
I was an offstage understudy, so I would get a bump in pay every time I go on.
Oh, that's got to feel nice.
It was pretty good. But you're not performing every night, which is not as fun.
Yeah.
And after taxes, my paychecks were just shy of $900
For
a week.
2. Oh, no. In New York, guys, I know that sounds like a lot of money if you're listening and you're not in New York or LA. That is, you're barely surviving in New York on that.
Like, I couldn't, you're supposed to make 4 times your rent.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot find a single room in Manhattan for less than $1,000.
Yeah. You just got lucky with some of your rent experiences somehow.
And
but
that,
like,
I was with somebody at the time who owned his apartment.
Well, there you go.
My ex.
So you're right. That's why people hook
And I was
up.
still paying him $1,000 a month. for my
This is
stuff.
why in LA and New York you get in a relationship with someone that owns, because you're like, it ups their real estate as a person so much. You're like, oh wait, I'm sorry, what? Okay, cool. So then how long until you came to LA?
So Broadway happened, then it ended, and then I was kind of floating around, split up with the guy I was with, started doing Atlantis Gay Cruises.
Oh, fun.
Performing on those, which was really fun.
Okay.
And then I would teach in Montana, and I was like an accountant's assistant, and then I started emceeing at the Singing Diner,
Oh, really?
which was fun.
Okay.
And with like my 4 I had 4 random jobs as a babysitter. Took these kids to a weekly tap class that were in the same class as Louis C.K.'s kids. So I got to sit next to Louis C.K. a few times.
We're going to just brush right past that. That's neat.
Boy.
Okay. And then so you do odd jobs for a while, and then
I did odd jobs, and I was like doing the same thing over and over again, dating somebody that wasn't going to work. And I didn't want to do theater anymore. I hated going to auditions. They look at your body and basically like size you up. And
Ew.
I had them. One time my feedback was like, is he sexy? Is his waist small enough? Like, I had one person comment, your forearms are really long. Like, is there any way you can work on those?
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I'm just going to fucking chop off my own forearms.
Yeah, I'll just modify my body. You think LA is like intense for physical appearance? New York musical theater New York is like hardcore.
Next level.
Hardcore. The pressure is insane.
Is it even fun then?
I guess if you're on the right drugs, I don't know. Which weed is still not legal.
Which is hilarious to me, because everybody's doing literally everything else there.
Yeah. Oh my God. It doesn't actually snow in New York. That is cocaine.
The cocaine.
Cocaine.
Actually, it snows in LA sometimes too.
Oh yeah, I've been to the comedy club on the Sunset Strip.
Oh, you have?
Where
there's cocaine?
I remember one time I went to the restroom and I was like, somebody had left a bunch like on the
Like a
top
line?
of the toilet. I was like, that's a waste.
You were more offended by the whiz.
It's like that's a bad drug person.
Or someone who's
drug
already
abuse.
had. Okay.
Drug abuse.
When do you come to LA? 2000. What'd you say it was?
I moved here 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay.
So I was living in Montana.
Yeah.
Busting tables at my friend's sushi restaurant. Going back to that, and then I was only going to be there for like 6 months just to get away from things.
Sure.
I just wanted to like chill. So I didn't want anyone to stare at my body and like
Tell you what was wrong with it?
Tell me what was wrong with it. And I like gained 30 pounds and I was like, I don't care. And
Good job, you.
I was like strong and drinking beer and happy. So then I moved to LA and then all the neuroses came back. No.
Yes, but also yes.
Kinda. But I had met my now husband on Scruff, which is an app for homosexuals to
The
have
homosexuals?
sex. Yes. And
Wait, not Grindr? Grindr's the only one I know about.
Grindr and Scruff is like the hairier Grindr.
Aw. Bears. Is that offensive? Is that term offensive?
No.
Okay, good. Good to know.
Oh my God. Is anything everything's
I don't know.
offensive?
Everything.
I'm offended.
Okay,
No.
good. Get out.
Bye.
So you met your husband on that app.
I met him on an app. He popped up on a global screen.
I don't know what that means.
So when you open the app, it shows you like who's online around the world.
Oh, he's like an example of like a hot dude they have on the app. Way to lock that down.
And then I was on his global screen.
Get out. Oh, that's fate.
So we started talking within the first conversation. After exchanging dick pics, we exchanged numbers. And
Obviously. Is that normal? Is it dicks first? Yeah. I love that. Okay.
And then we started just talking for months. And then for my 30th birthday, I flew to LA to meet him. And I was moving here anyways in the fall. So I was like, I should probably, go to LA a few times.
See this,
before I just
see the city before I just blindly come.
Exactly. And I had enough friends here. But I ended up staying with him for like 2 weeks and met his parents on our second date.
Wait, you guys are like lesbians. You like moved in together.
I met his ex on our first date.
Get out.
Oops.
Wait, was it not on purpose? His ex just happened to be at a place?
Our first date, after he picked me up from the airport, the next morning we were going to see Snow White and the Huntsman.
Aww,
With a big group of friends.
And the ex was there?
And the ex came to meet us at the apartment and we all rode to the theater together. And then I sat in between him and his ex at the movie theater.
Wow, that's mature.
And now we're like
fuck.
all really good friends. Like all of us are really great friends.
Amazing. Okay, so you fall in love, you make it to LA, and then you're like, goodbye theater. I'm like, I'm over it.
Well, what I didn't like was I would only work for this theater company in Montana 10 weeks and I'd be 1 week shy of getting health insurance. And it was costing the theater, it cost them $250 extra a week per actor per equity contract.
Jesus Christ. But
So-
you saw none of that.
And that doesn't go to anyone who's not getting union benefits.
That sucks.
So where does all this money go for people that aren't getting the union benefits who are in the union? I'm not sure what the policies are now. I think you can opt into health insurance, but you're not really getting contributions to your 401k. It just doesn't make any. You're paying dues
For what?
for what?
Oh, that would make me crazy.
So I wrote a letter. I resigned
From the union, guys. That's what he's talking about.
from the union, and then they got to I got to work for the same theater company, and they can hire me whenever they want,
And they would.
and they can just pay me more.
Ah, that's nice. And so you did that for a while. Mm-hmm. And then you came to LA.
And then I came to LA.
Okay.
And I had like no jobs.
Okay.
I cashed out my 401k from Broadway.
I get it. I so get it.
It was not even a ton of money.
I get it.
But I was
You're
like,
that $30 is coming to me.
Exactly.
Okay. So that is you now. We're here now. Okay.
You're here.
So I hope you guys enjoyed your apps. That was you guys got a long app experience. You guys brought nachos and all the
right.
mozzarella sticks. All of that happened. And now, isn't so good. Now we're going to move on to the entrees after a quick break. We are back, and now it's time to move on to the entrees, which is the super speedy question round. But some of these you've answered, but still keep going.
Prefix.
Yeah, these are. Oh, that's what thank you.
You're welcome.
Eric, you're good at this. You're better at this than I am. Okay, what was your first job ever?
Round table pizza, answering telephones, and folding boxes for 3 days.
Why did it only last 3 days?
Because I was also interviewing for Cold Stone Creamery, where you can sing for tips.
So Cold
And
Stone won out.
Cold Stone won out.
What city was that in?
That was in San Jose, California. I was 16.
Okay. How many customer service jobs would you say you've had? Feel free to take time and count. He's counting, folks.
I would say between 10 and 15.
Holy, that's a lot. Okay. Which was your favorite job?
Favorite job in customer service?
Yes.
Ooh, I would say emceeing at Ellen Stardust Diner.
Okay. And that was the heart attack guy, or no?
Yeah, but after he had gone.
After he'd gone? Okay.
After he had moved on.
After he did what he loved. Least favorite job in customer service?
Probably, I finally, I see the sunny side of stuff, but probably pieces, just because I was touched a lot.
And you didn't like that? Yeah.
I had to yell at people quite a bit.
That would upset me
You
too.
shouldn't have to do it.
No. What's the weirdest thing you've ever been asked while on the clock? Let's take pieces out of the equation. That job didn't happen. Let's just ask for like at Cold Stone or at Ellen's.
Weirdest thing I've ever been asked on the clock. Probably like for my number.
Oh, that felt weird too.
Yeah.
Were you actually, you can answer, were you actually asked for sex? Did that come up?
Oh my God. I've been asked for drugs at jobs. I've been asked for tons of shit.
Okay.
People are horrible.
They are. What's the weirdest modification if you served? What was the weirdest modification that you were asked?
Oh my God. I would say, okay, there was this guy who would order vodka grenadine.
Well, that sounds yummy. See, I'm a sugar person. That sounds.
He would ask for like 20 maraschino cherries. It was disgusting.
That's weird.
It was too many.
That's about
Like
about
it would
14
stain my
too
fingers.
many. Ew, weird. And would he
it's
drink
gross.
it? Or would he like play with
and
it?
then he'd eat all the cherries.
Eat all the cherries, so they would soak up the booze.
And I'd be like, I do not want to see your arteries.
Oh God! Also, do that shit at home, folks. If you're gonna make a modification like that, you ain't got home training. You just stay home.
Here are things that you can order at a bar: something on the rocks, a beer, a wine, or a sensible mixed drink with something and a soda.
Yeah. All of that is right. And listen, if you're in like New Orleans and you get a hurricane, they've already got those things on tap.
Yes.
So they don't have to use the blender.
Oh my God.
It's not a big deal for them.
Margarita?
All day. Sure.
If you're ordering a martini that's not at a fancy restaurant, then go fuck yourself.
Thank you. The number of people that order them so specifically, like up, dry, like all of the at the comedy club.
And they don't even know what it means.
No. And then I'll ask them, they'll order something like I asked one guy just because I was being an asshole. I know what's in a Greyhound, but like I didn't think he knew. He was like, I want a Greyhound. And so I just
grapefruit?
Yeah, it's grapefruit and vodka. Like it's very simple.
Yeah,
it's a very simple drink. But some places put lime juice. It just depends if they're being fancy. And I go, okay, cool. What's in it? And he was like, it's a Greyhound. And I was like, yeah, but like I just have to tell the bartenders because we don't have a button for it because we don't. I knew it was in it, but I was like, because he was doing that very privileged, older, rich white man thing. And so I was like, okay. I was like, well, I'll just see if the bartenders know. And like, you could see that he was like frustrated, but also like, what's in a Greyhound? And I'm like, he did not know. Anyway, okay, I'm being an asshole. Back to questions. What incident that you've had with customers or incidents made them ask to speak with your manager?
Ooh.
Or were there ever?
Never.
Really?
I was a really good waiter.
Okay.
So my goal was, if I ever had like a super difficult person, was to make them smile.
That was it.
Yeah.
So would you be able to talk them off the ledge if they were just being like really crazy? Good for you. So what if they like...
It's a special skill.
What if they called you outside of your name? Did they ever?
No.
Wow. All right. I'm never airing this podcast. You're an asshole. I think I kind of know you may have already answered this. What was the last straw that got you out of like your last, because you were doing it for fun, the bussing table. So what's like, do you have a last straw of a job that you left that wasn't like, oh, I went and booked a gig or like I'm moving? Was there something where you were like, fuck this place?
The brief little stint I had gone back to Ellen's after I booked the hair show. I was in and the restaurant was empty and they insisted on having 14 servers.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And I knew it was a waste of my time to be there.
And I'm jumping in because also, aren't they the same people that bitch about labor all the time? It's like clearly labor actually isn't anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
And they should have cut down to like 5 people.
Yeah, if there were no one. Okay.
It's 2 floors.
Oh.
And I took off my apron and I walked out.
Good job. And did you never go back?
Nope.
Good job, you. Did you get your last check?
No.
Because $2 an hour.
Yeah,
Who gives a shit?
It was like maybe $20 or something.
You're like, y'all can keep that.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm going to go.
It's good. But see, even then I got to go back and MC, but after I was on a Broadway show.
Yeah. They like the cachet of you, probably at that point. Okay. How many bodily fluids have been on your body whilst on the clock? All of them? Have you ever been barfed on, like bled on? Any of
Definitely. I mean, I worked Pride, so yeah, definitely barf.
Were you barfed on?
Yes.
Oh God.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just thinking the last time I was barfed on was my husband. So that was really,
bless him.
He drank a little too much one night.
But you weren't serving him. You were just being
I was
a
not
good husband.
serving him. I was being, he took off his shirt that had vomit on it and like shook it off
Ew.
onto me.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, how dare you?
So at Pride, did you get physically barfed on at Pride?
No, it was more like he's stepping it or it gets near you.
But like he's making it sound like it is also just in like a really fun celebratory experience that happens. It also happens at just a regular nightclub or a regular bar. I've been barfed on.
People have like just hurled it like on a Monday night.
Yes.
In an empty bar, and you're like,
what's going on in your life?
You're like, I have to clean that up.
Someone has to physically make sure that barf doesn't just stay there.
There is a bathroom
So close.
10 feet
like,
away.
so close. Like, it's
10 feet
so close. You can touch the doorknob if you just stand up.
So I would say most of the gross experience probably happened at Pieces.
Okay, Pieces. Okay. Do you tip?
Do I tip?
Mm-hmm.
Like when
you go out and like go to a restaurant or a bar?
Oh, yeah.
You do.
Okay, let's talk about tipping.
Yes.
Because it's so customary. I don't know if I hope it doesn't last forever. I hope wages just increase and people make a real great living
wage. Yes.
Because then people won't have as much power over you as restaurant owners.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like tipping is a way to get out of being fair.
100%. I 1000% agree. And can we both agree that the minimum wage in LA, which I think now is $12.75 in certain parts, certain cities, I think it's
West Hollywood, I think is up to 15.
Up to 15, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then West Hollywood and I think Santa Monica is also 15, but everything else that didn't buy themselves out of LA is $12.75, I think. We can agree that even 15, you can't live on out here.
You can't live on less than 20 something an hour. I think it's $23 an hour.
At 40 hours a week.
And even then at 40 hours a week, and even then you have to have a roommate.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Which is not the America that our baby boomer elders imagined for us.
I agree. But sorry, so go back to tipping. So you envision a world where
20+%. Always 20, 30 if I'm there and I'm having an experience.
Yes.
The lines get a little blurred if sitting at a bar. I was, old school cash bar. I cut my teeth on those. And you don't tip 20% per drink.
No, that's crazy.
That's like $1 a drink.
Yeah. Especially if the bartender's literally like 3 feet from you. I agree.
Yeah. If you're not getting anything crazy.
Yeah.
This whole like 20% thing, blanket for everything, like 20% included gratuity for like counter service at Veggie Girl.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Or like on Grubhub, I'll get delivery. There's a $3 delivery fee, and then it suggests you tip 25 to 30%.
Good Lord.
So I ordered 2 sandwiches last night, and it was like, would you like to tip $7 on your $29
for 2 sandwiches?
For 2 sandwiches, and you're like, this is insane because it's just much. Grubhub getting money.
Yeah.
And not having to pay their drivers.
And you also don't know if the drivers are going to see all of that because it may or may not show up on their checks.
Exactly.
Okay.
Some shady shit.
So you do 20% or more.
Oh, yeah. Always.
Have you ever not tipped?
No.
Really? Even what if the service was the worst?
Probably like I would tip like maybe 15 if it's really bad.
What if the server said like, fuck you? Like really, like was ridiculous.
Oh my God, I've never had that happen.
Well, you wouldn't. You have good energy, but like.
And if they got like really dark and fuck you, I'd maybe say something to a manager. Actually,
okay.
Like if you're,
but you would
treating people that way.
Yeah.
I would tip a little bit.
Okay.
Because sometimes a low tip is even more of a fuck you than no tip.
1,000%.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've had someone leave a
like,
stack of pennies on a table. Oh, yeah. Man. And I was like, you forgot your change. I was so mad. I just handed it right back to him. Have you ever been stiffed?
Yeah.
You have?
Oh, yeah.
What was the context?
Just people. It usually was in the high volume Ellens because it's just tourist line out the door, rotating, and people just get up and leave.
Yep. I want to dispel a myth right now. And I'm going to say this on the podcast for as long as I can. Getting stiffed is very often not a reflection of the service that you received.
Oh, never.
They just didn't want to. They were making a point, sticking it to the man, didn't feel like they needed to.
They're stealing.
Because we have to tip out on what we serve to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I've already said this. I'm repeating myself. Okay. My next question was going to be, were you ever fired from a customer service job? But basically all of your jobs? All of the every job. What's the worst customer you've ever had to interact with?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm sure I've had like high maintenance people before.
But nothing that sticks out.
Nothing that sticks out. Just people who constantly ask for little things when they could just ask for it all at once.
Please explain to the people
So
why
like,
this is annoying.
if you want a ranch dressing,
Which is fine. Have
it's
your ranch.
totally fine. And I will get it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also want a Diet Coke. And then you also want fries. Order them all at the same
All at the same time. We're already at your table. You know you want all three things. Say all
Yes,
three things.
Just say it.
All three.
We even ask, we prompt you, is there anything
else?
I
Because
can get you?
I'm right here.
I'm here and you're not going to see me for a minute. Because there's
I am
a
gonna
lot of other
disappear.
people in this room.
You know what's weird? They're not the only customers in the restaurant.
That is, I wish people got it through their heads that they are not the only people on the planet.
Well, hello. That's a larger issue.
That's like driving in LA. Yeah. Like,
yes.
Hello.
Okay.
Wake up.
Okay, now for the last segment, we're going to get on to the good stuff.
Oh, dessert.
We hoped everybody saved room for dessert. Smart man. Okay, but first we're going to take a break. Okay, we're back for dessert. What was the nicest thing a customer has done for you while you were working?
Oh, I've gotten really fat tips before.
Give me an example, please.
Like hundreds of dollars, like $200, $100.
Holy shit. For what?
Nice notes, especially when I was like singing.
Oh, and they would like compliment your voice.
Yeah. Katie Couric tipped me pretty well.
Really?
It was like one of her last, she was taking everybody out to lunch after she was like being let go from CBS, I think.
I don't remember, but probably,
It was a long time ago. Yeah, I've had really nice experiences with people being generous, which is nice.
That is always nice. And what's the best lesson you've learned, like working in any of the customer service jobs, or what's a lesson that you were like, I
think we crave human interaction, and we need. I think that one of the best lessons I've learned is that we're all just people who are trying to get through the day.
Oh, that's true.
And that goes for like your waiter might be having a hard day.
Oh, weird.
And
the human being in front of you serving you food.
Yeah, you're not the only person in the room. And I think everybody should work in customer service.
Say it again, boo.
I think everyone should work in customer service.
Why do you feel that way?
At least once in their lives, because they need to see what it's like to interact with other humans on that level, so you don't treat people like shit.
Agreed. I mean, it shouldn't require that to not treat people like shit, but yet we know it does.
No, we know it does. I've, in New York and LA especially, there's a lot of entitlement.
Oh, that word. I was just thinking that. I was like, oh, because they're entitled.
Nobody owes you anything.
Ever.
Nobody owes anyone anything.
Anything ever. Your parents don't even owe you something. Like, it'd be great if they kept you alive your whole life. That's great, but they don't owe you anything. Nobody owes you anything.
Nope.
No, and especially not the city you've chosen to move to doesn't owe you anything. Thank you. Agreed. What's one piece of advice that you would give to customers who interact with customer service workers?
Be nice. Oh my God. And don't fake it, or just be clear with what you want. Don't monopolize people's time. What else?
Oh, these are all great.
Don't get too wasted.
Hello. Although, God bless, there have been, we've all had those nights.
Oh,
but
we sure have. You gotta have one.
Yeah. Don't be a regular at a place and get too wasted.
Oh, no.
That's intense. Okay. And finally, what is, if you could go back and tell your younger customer service self something, what would you tell yourself to like get yourself through it?
Just go to work. Don't call out. You will want that extra $230. You're gonna want it.
Yes, you will. Okay.
Suck it up.
We should just end it there. Thank you so much for being here. How can people get in touch with you, Eric Krop?
So you can go to my Instagram at Eric M. Krop with a K. Krop like crop a photo, but with a K.
Amazing.
Eric with a C. Don't fuck it up. And same for Twitter is at Eric M. Krop, I believe.
Yes, that is correct.
Yes.
Well done, you.
It's like it was planned.
Way to be universally, consistent. That's good.
And I have links to my music on both of those things. Twitter is horrible. So follow me. Definitely if you're a Russian bot. I really want you to follow me.
Is that your preference? Russian bots over everything? Yeah. Okay, great. Do you want the bots to listen to your music too?
Yeah, please, Russia, if you're listening.
Can we
stream me?
And we can hear you on Spotify?
Yeah.
Okay.
Spotify, amazing. SoundCloud. I got a couple tracks with this DJ Danny Toro.
Oh, cool.
So if you're like into like the gay club scene.
Is it DANNY?
DANI.
DANI.
TORO. DJ Danny Toro.
Okay, awesome. And your professional name is Eric Krop, or is it Eric Michael
Krop?
So we got to do all three.
EMK.
EMK, we got to find you that way. Okay, we're going to drop checks now. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to help us out here, Service from Hell. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and tell your friends to listen, please. It will help us reach more people that need to be schooled in the art of being kind and will be catharsis for those of us still working in the industry. Remember, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out. So don't be garbage and be good to people. It's easier that way. Thank you so much for being here, Eric. You're the best.
You're the best. Oh, yeah.